Welcome to this explainer. Today we're jumping right into a really profound piece of source material that completely shifts how we view personal fulfillment. It actually provides a structural blueprint for understanding our own joy, what's been called the architecture of lasting gratitude. We're going to break down the actual mechanics of how we experience positive feelings, and the distinction we're about to explore is probably going to surprise you.
Consider this question for a second. Are you happy in your life or with it? Now, at first glance, that sounds like pure semantics, right? Like just a minor grammatical choice. But that single, tiny little word changes absolutely everything about our psychological state. This exact difference exposes a massive divide in how we operate, how we make decisions, and honestly, how we seek out fulfillment every single day.
Our source text establishes this dichotomy right out of the gate. It draws a firm, clear line between two entirely different types of happiness. We aren't just talking about minor variations of a good mood here, or, whether you had a good morning versus a bad afternoon. We are looking at two completely different ways of existing, interacting, and processing the world around us.
So, let's dive into this and look at what it actually means to be happy in your life. We throw this phrase around all the time, but what is the actual engine driving this specific type of happiness? How exactly is it generated?
Well, the definition we're given is incredibly precise. You are happy in your life when you are actively doing something to create positive feelings. Notice the action-oriented nature of this. It requires verbs. It requires output. Think about the thrill of, say, buying a new car, or landing a promotion at work, or going out to a fantastic concert. You are actively doing something to manufacture those emotions. It's a completely external process where your joy is the direct result of a real-time action.
And this comparison brilliantly illustrates the contrast. We're weighing the active pursuit of creating feelings through our actions against generating feelings from what is already there. Think of it like a factory versus a treasure chest, right? The factory has to constantly burn fuel and run its heavy machinery to produce a product. But the chest? The chest is already full of value. One is this exhausting, ongoing pursuit. The other draws from a well that already exists. Which brings us to the flip side of the coin. What does it actually mean to be happy with your life? If this state doesn't require a continuous treadmill of action or that exhausting factory production we just talked about, what's the mechanism behind it?
According to the source, this happens when you shift your focus completely inward. You are happy with your life when you associate positive feelings with the gifts and resources you already possess. You aren't chasing a new thrill. You aren't booking another vacation or buying another item online. You are recognizing an existing asset. The joy isn't manufactured by some new external event. It's sparked by a profound internal realization. So it really boils down to this: chasing positive feelings via action versus uncovering them via possessed gifts. One requires continuous motion, meaning the very second you stop doing, you stop feeling happy. The other relies on stillness. You pause, you take stock of what you already hold, and the joy is generated simply from recognition. It's a huge paradigm shift from a state of constant acquisition to a state of deep appreciation. Okay, let's zoom out a bit and look at the actual architecture here. What do we even call this state of looking at our existing resources and generating joy from them? Well, the source material identifies this as gratitude.
And this right here is the absolute linchpin of the entire concept. Being happy with your life is being grateful for what you have in life. Gratitude isn't just a polite thank you or some fleeting thought. It is the literal psychological engine that converts the resources you already have into positive feelings. It's the bridge between simply possessing a gift and actually experiencing genuine joy from it.
When you synthesize it all together, the structural difference is just remarkably clean. To be happy in life, your focus is entirely on doing, and your mechanism is action. But to be happy with life, your focus shifts to gifts, and your mechanism becomes gratitude. It's a brilliant breakdown of how human fulfillment actually operates, showing us that we have two entirely different toolkits for building a joyful life.
But then, and this is where it gets super interesting, just as we establish this neat, reflective architecture, the text throws a massive curveball. It presents a sudden paradigm shift that puts this entire philosophy of gratitude to the ultimate stress test, the crisis.
Never let a crisis go wasted. It's short, it's punchy, and it is an incredibly challenging directive. A crisis usually strips our abilities away, right? It forces panic and restricts what we can do. So how on earth does a crisis fit into a framework of recognizing existing gifts? How can something so destructive actually be useful? This is exactly where the whole architecture clicks into place. When a crisis hits, it usually breaks our ability to do things. We literally lose the capacity to be happy in life because our actions are suddenly restricted. Therefore, a crisis forces us to rely entirely on the gifts and resources we already possess. It forces us to stop acting and start reflecting. It demands that we use gratitude just to survive, transforming the very crisis into a catalyst for being happy with our lives.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, genuinely provocative question to reflect on long after we finish. Will you let your next crisis go wasted, or will you use it to find the gifts and resources you already have? It's an absolutely fascinating lens through which to view our toughest moments. Keep exploring the architecture of your own life.